Hi, welcome to the Noble Pod, where we discuss sustainability and ethics in business. I'm Felix, and this is Joseph.
Hello.
Hello, Joseph.
Hi, and we have a special guest today.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I don't think you've seen him before. It's Felix!
It's me. We ran out of budget. So,
What?
I said I wanted to put my foot on the table. I'm putting my foot down with this budget. No, what?
Well, let's start first with, Noble as a concept, as a movement. Even like, where did this begin? Because we're looking at your capstone project last year, and how did it start?
How far back do you want to go?
All the way back.
All the way back. Let's put a cap on this.
On this capstone.
On this capstone. I guess if you want to know like why I want to do like sustainable stuff or like trying to help the environment, all that kind of stuff, that's just like from my parents, I guess. My dad's always been obsessed with recycling, and I guess that was instilled in me. They've always been a little bit hippie, but like not like weird hippie,
Where's the demarcation?
Well, I guess what schools they send you to. If they send you to a Steiner school, then good luck.
Well, you've had a very interesting schooling.
Yeah. So I was born in the UK, and then I moved to Australia when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And then I moved back to the UK when I was 10. And then I moved back to Australia when I was 16. So it's been a bit of I've always been moving around. So
Where were you moving around?
because my mum was born in the UK, my dad was born in Australia, and my mum met my dad in Australia when they were working together. And yeah, they couldn't really decide where to settle down, I guess. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know, a citizen of the world. I don't really have a home, and that's okay.
Global citizen. Fair enough.
I am globalization in human form.
And, the UK is it exactly at the other side of the world?
12,000 miles. I think it's exact, pretty much, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, okay, that's global domination
Yeah,
for you.
Well, us Brits,
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I mean, yeah. The French are worse. Okay.
So let's talk about your life in the UK.
Yeah, starting my life. Well, it all started when I was born. No, yeah, in the UK. So first time or second time?
Because I know that this was inspired by also something that you had previously done in the UK. So
yeah.
where in the UK were you based, and what was your life then, and what was that thing that you were doing there?
Yeah, okay. Well, I was living in Devon, which is the countryside of the UK. I'll put some pictures up now. It's very pretty. Great place to grow up. Cows. Even better place to die. Honestly, the retirement there is fantastic. But everything in the middle, you kind of have to go somewhere else. But either way, that's where I lived, because my mother was born there, and my grandparents were there, and I had some family there as well. So we moved back from Sydney when I was 10 to this area, Devon. That's not where I was born in the UK. It's just where I lived for about 8 years. So I kind of grew up there.
Did you grow up with cows?
Well, my grandfather was a dairy farmer, like a classic dairy farmer, He was born just after the war, I think, or just maybe last year of the war. So he's that kind of vintage. And yeah, he had about 13 acres, I think, in Devon, which was all dairy farming. And yeah, my families they're very sensitive, So I think farming wasn't always the thing you wanted to go into, because even now, like, he likes to just curl up with a book and just like disappear into his room. He's very introverted, and that's great. I think that's probably where I get it from. And he looks like me. It's really weird. Anyway, so he had the farm for, I think it was like, I don't even know, 15 years or so. my mum, her sister, or sisters and brother, they all grew up there as well on the farm. So she has really fond memories of Devon and animals and dairy and stuff like that. So yeah, but he ended up getting out of farming because he couldn't stand having to send calves off to, you know, get murdered, shall we say?
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, one would think that after doing that livelihood for quite a number of years, one would be used to it, no?
Yeah, well, he used to name all the cows and stuff, and so thing is so obviously dairy cows are female, that's how they make milk, and so when they give birth to a calf that is male, it's either a bull or it just goes straight to slaughter, or to a farm where it, you know, gets raised and then it's slaughtered. It's pretty barbaric, and that takes its toll after a while. You know, the thing with animals is you're pretty much always going to live longer than them, and so there's a lot of sadness, actually. There's a lot of death, and they didn't really like that. But a lot of other farmers, they didn't really mind it. You know, they were quite, you know, gruff, I guess. But I never thought of that as a negative thing. You know, to be sensitive about that. I mean, it's human, right? And so he ended up selling up and opening a plant nursery, which I think was more his style. You know.
Did he become vegan?
No, they've never went that far. You know, it's weird. My mum's always been a bit iffy with meat and stuff, and I think, you know, when you live in the country in the 60s, 70s, meat, it's a big part of the diet, right? Like, there wasn't such thing as like vegan and all that kind of stuff. That was more like hippie stuff. So I think my grandmother told my mum one day, like, you know, they wouldn't be born if they weren't, you know, going to be eaten, basically. And so that's sort of mentality. And I think it's how the world is, you know. I think that's how a lot of people sort of justify it. That's probably how I justify it as well, yeah.
So now you have this background in Devon, and you mentioned, so I know you mentioned before there was a campaign that you did there. What was this?
Yeah, so I think this is just when I graduated secondary school, so high school, I suppose you'd call it in Australia. I left school when I was 16, 16, and there was this thing called the National Citizen Service, which you did in the summer holidays. Summer holidays in the UK is, because summer's different to Australia, it's like it's kind of like weird. It's like halfway through the year, and it was always really strange. But yeah, I never got over that. But yeah, so we did it like halfway through the year. So National Citizen Service was a thing set up by the government that was kind of like this big. It was a 4-week like camp for kids, students, 16, 15-year-olds. And so I went on that with my friend, and quite a few people from school. Actually, it was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. So the first 2 weeks were we went to Cornwall, which is very close to Devon. It's like the tip of the UK. It's like the only place you can surf in the UK, and so I learned to surf there, and we, you know, did various activities and things, and camping, and all sorts of fun shit.
Wait, you know how to surf?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't mean I'm talented at it, but I enjoy it. It was fun. I've done it a few times in Australia too, but I don't have my own surfboard or anything, so it's kind of hard to like justify renting it and stuff. But yeah, that was fun. So the first time I surfed was actually in the UK, which is kind of weird because they have terrible waves. But it's fun. So yeah, it's basically the first 2 weeks was like, you know, having fun, playing around, burying each other in the sand, which we did often. You know, not me, of course. I was taking pictures the whole time. Oh, we got some great pictures. I got so burnt because I'm I'm so white. I'm like almost a shade of blue, but like for some reason it was really sunny in the UK, and like I went like redder than the activator mug. Like it was bad, man. It was so bad. And people got all these pictures where they take pictures of me and they like did up the saturation to make me even more red, and they just passed it around. So it was like slightly too red, but like not enough to be unrealistic. So yeah. But yeah, it was fun. So that was kind of like the bonding period for like, so you got put into groups, right? Bonding period. So it was maybe a group of, 16. And then the next 2 weeks after that, you have to actually do something for the community. So it's kind of like community service, because you did so many crimes in the 2 weeks before. No, there was no crimes. Though there was a smoking bucket, which was kind of funny. This is in the days where smoking was cool. Of course, I wasn't cool, so I didn't smoke, but still. There was a smoking bucket at the campsite, and like you had all these people just like huddled around this bucket, and it was like the funniest shit ever. Anyway, so the next 2 weeks was the social side of it. So we had to come up with some sort of initiative, some idea to better the community. And myself and my friend, we'd been through school together. He's like my best friend. So we did art and design and graphic design. He's the most similar to me, the person I've ever met. And sometimes that's not good, but in this case, it's really good. So we were great friends, and we kind of wanted to overachieve. So I think they went for a lot of people in the group as well. We had a really good group who were really just smart kids, and they sort of pushed themselves a bit harder. Like you could see in all the activities we've done before, the team building stuff, that they just pushed themselves so much harder than everyone else, and they're strategic as well. So we got really lucky with that. So we came up with this idea of trying to solve a bigger problem, but actually do it like realistically, like properly, and like without like having to like invent some weird machines or what kids do, they like do crazy stuff, So we heard of this thing that had been done through the same program a couple of years back with a supermarket, Sainsbury's, and the problem they wanted to solve, this group wanted to solve, was basically food banks, and they wanted to make it easier for people to donate to food banks through Sainsbury's, I believe, if I'm remembering right. So they made this little plaque thing, just printed paper, and they gave that to Sainsbury's to put on the shelves and stuff to tell people what products were really good for food banks. So, it'd be like in the canned tins sections and stuff, and it just gave people a reminder to maybe buy one for me, buy one for the food bank kind of thing. And that was really successful, and they got on TV and all sorts of stuff. And that was like, in our local area too. So we thought, okay, so if you can make that much of an impact through a printed piece of paper, maybe we'll try and follow a similar method. So we decided to focus on water wastage, which was something that we'd learned about, through the last few weeks. And we realized, we did a bit of research into it, and we realized that every shop that has a tap that serves food or anything like that, like a cafe or a restaurant, legally, if somebody comes into that store with a suitable water container, that business has to refill their water bottle with their on-premises water.
I think that's the case here in Australia as well, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because the reason I'm not too sure is, first of all, I kind of moved on from that idea, but we'll get to that later. So there was already something that existed in the UK called, I think it was just called like refill or something like that. It was like super simple naming. And we didn't realize that existed until we came up with the idea and like printed all the stickers and stuff.
Oh no.
But they were like more of a nationwide kind of thing. Like they had a map and an app and all that kind of stuff. And like that was like a proper like startup thing. To be honest, like going back to the UK recently, I haven't seen it around. So I don't think that lasted. But either way, it was really fun. So because I came from graphic design, I'd never done it before really, but I was good at art and all that kind of stuff. I was 15 at the time. So yeah, weirdly, I just made this branding that just was really like professional for some reason, like for the time. And it was really funny because that's kind of what set us apart. And I'm glad that I could contribute that, because I wasn't so good at the whole like researching side of things, but that was the beauty of it. It was like a proper like collaborative team where somebody was good at something,
Can you describe it, or do you have something to show the audience?
Yeah, I can put some stuff up, just some photos and stuff now, but I don't have anything on me.
It's here.
Here it is. Everything from that era is like just disappeared. I don't know. It was a while ago now. But we had to present. So we made a presentation about our idea, and we had to present to this board of professionals. You can only get so professional in Devon, so they were like just normal people. But either way, they were relatively professional. Thank you very much. And two of us were up the front. I wasn't, because I wasn't very good at public speaking. And I made the presentation, we made it all pretty and everything, came up with the logo and the name, which was Top Up Tap. And actually, the main goal of it was so we'd have these stickers that would put in the windows of these businesses that basically said that you can refill your water bottles here. So these are just simple stickers. So a very similar idea to the Sainsbury's thing, but sticker form. And we also wanted to raise up enough money to install a water fountain in the city centre, because that just didn't exist. There was no like refill stations anywhere. We looked at Paris, and they had, they have water refill stations all over the city. Even in Melbourne, they have it as well. But there wasn't that sort of thing where we were from. So we wanted to save up money to get that, and we do that through creating like a movement.
Are you familiar with, well, I think urban designers and philosophers who were interested in the notion of public utilities like public drinking fountains? Are you aware of the history at all?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, I know that has a good history, but I wouldn't say I'm the expert at it, so it would be nice to explore in the future.
Yeah, I think it's a very it's a social thing, right? But the thing is with like public stuff is it's always going to be abused. And especially where we were from, it's like if you leave anything outside for like more than a day, it's gone. I remember I left, we were working out of the Exeter College, which is attached to like a library. That's so every group of this NCS thing got their own little room, and that would be like the base. And we'd do all our working out and everything from there. I left my laptop there once, and it just disappeared. And I had to do some like Sherlock Holmes investigation to get it back, and I did get it back, but oh my god.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So can't have shit in Devon.
Well, I mean, because all I know is that even the push for public infrastructure, in a way, it's like access to water is like, it being seen as ethical to have access to water.
Yeah.
There are places where, especially in Europe, I know that the UK, they had many philosophers, I think, anyway, that were the UK is quite influential in the notion of public good. You look at the US and certain parts of Europe, it's not as accessible.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is with the UK is it's very centralized in terms of the investment and the money and the jobs and everything. It's all in London. So where we were, it wasn't. And in the north, it isn't. London and, around London, yes. That just didn't exist where we were. So in a way that was good because we had less competitors, I suppose. So we were able to do a lot more. And with that presentation we gave, we won the whole thing. Well, actually, the funny thing is we didn't win the whole thing. So we were up against like 3 other people. So we were in like batches. And they said ours was so good that they wanted to one of them wanted to take us under his wing. And he was like, I'm just going to invest shitloads of money into it. Yeah. So we didn't win, technically. Another person won because it was like, their idea was to host a movie night. Which is, great. Anyway, so we were able to get the contact details of all these people, and they all wanted to work with us. So it was kind of this bidding war. It was really cool. The person who ended up enticing us most and investing in us, I forget his name now, but he ran a creative agency within Exeter, which is very rare. There are no creative agencies in Exeter. So he invited us over to his office, and we discussed what we needed from him, to produce these stickers and this idea, and he just gave us all the money.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, one of the beauties of having an idea that actually doesn't need a lot of input, it's just a sticker, is that you can ask for less money and you'll get it because it's actually such a simple idea. So we didn't actually ask for a lot, we just asked for some support and a little bit of money, and he was able to do that. And because we had so much because it didn't cost a lot, he was able to just we did some extra things too. So we ended up making a line of water bottles too. That had the little logo on it, the Top Up Tap logo. And we worked with Jed's, which is a British water bottle company, to do that, which was really cool. And we made some t-shirts as well. We all had t-shirts, and we wore them for all our pitches, of which we had 2 other pitches. And this is all, bear in mind, this is in a week. Like, so we had 2 weeks overall to do it, and this was by the first week we'd already done all this.
Wow.
So that meant that we had this extra week to then implement all this stuff. So emblazoned with our new Top Up Tap t-shirts,
Yes.
which I designed. Thank
The
you very
power
much.
of merch.
So powerful. Well, no, this is what actually led me down this whole road, was because I realized how powerful branding and a professional looking logo and all that was. So it was really, really serious. I never really thought of it before because it just came to me naturally, I guess. I don't know. I've always had a creative brain. I can't do maths or anything like that, so I knew I had to do this. There was no choice. And so, yeah, it was cool to see that validated. So yeah, we went around to like every shop in the area, in the city of Exeter, with our Top Up Tap t-shirts on. We went in 3s or 4s or whatever. And we had posters that we'd made and the stickers. And so we went out over to each business and we gave them our pitch. We're like, hey, did you know that you legally have to give people water? And we weren't like scaring them into doing it or anything. We were more like, it can increase footfall, it can do this, it can do that. And we weren't actually selling them anything. They didn't have to buy the sticker off us because we weren't trying to make any money off this. There was no profit incentive because we didn't need to. It was just students school kids just doing something. The payment we got was seeing those stickers in the window every time we went to the city. And that was really cool. So yeah, we got about 40 businesses involved. And then we got this call from this supermarket mogul guy who I think had heard of us through the Dragon's Den, the Kids Dragon's Den thing.
Kids Dragon's Den?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Anyway, so so he invited us over to his like office, and bear in mind it's like 16 kids, so we had to go to the boardroom. And he was like, I didn't have any nice clothes, so I just turned up in a t-shirt. So did everyone else. We looked like absolute school kids. It was hilarious. But he was basically saying, hey, he was more interested in the water fountain idea. So incorporating this into all of his supermarkets or like his shopping centers and stuff. And so I can't remember exactly how the conversation went. This was back in 2019. But yeah, he was just interested in it. And if he was like, if you ever wanted to keep going with this, we could help or whatever. To be honest, I wasn't the spokesman, and I was more interested in the biscuits in the center of the table. And I was reaching for those bad boys. Those things were free. Yeah. It was good to have a spokesperson, I must say. I'd done my bit. I didn't come up with the name though. I'm disappointed I didn't come up with the name. I remember my suggestion for the name was this French word which meant refill or something like that because we were all obsessed with Paris for some reason. But someone else came up with Top Up Tap, and I was like, "That
you admire the French."
At the time we admired the fact that they had refill stations in Paris, but they also had dog shit all over the floor. So give and take.
It's actually kind of difficult to get tap water in Paris. Last time I was there, you could only order sparkling or Evian.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the shops who were interested. It was the actual like water fountains and stuff like that. You had like water pumps in France.
Oh.
Yeah. But honestly, yeah. I didn't do much of the research, so I'm just gonna pretend I don't know what the hell's going on there. I don't know. Someone else did it. It was cool. We had very talented students on our team. Anyway, so 2 weeks go by. We've made all these posters and logos and whatever. 40 businesses, stickers in, and we're all like, "Yay!" We're like, "Wow, this is really cool." And I knew that feeling, when we did the pitch, the first one. That feeling of like people being like so into it and like loving it, I'd never had that before. Like no one had ever, we never had the opportunity before, and so I knew that was a feeling I wanted to chase for the rest of my life.